turn on the machine just now. The machine is overheating, so we can't have it on too long. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate the actual website, because it's web learning. This is all online. We're an online school. So we need to be connected to the internet, and we need to do it through a Tutor, which, by the way, works on any device. So mobile, laptop, desktop, tablet. Anything that you can Facebook or YouTube on works. So that's what I want to demonstrate. Then I'll just take questions about the Cambridge education system, because there are two things you need to learn about tonight. The one is how Portal works, but the other is what is Cambridge International Education. Now, I'm sure you've got lots of questions, so I'll take questions, and if there's anything else that I'd like to add, I'll add. Okay, but I don't want to keep you too long, so I'd rather just do the demo and then take questions and learn about Cambridge through questions. All right. Okay, so let's start. Hopefully, one flicker. So the first thing I want to show you is the lessons. As soon as this goes on, do I have to hold it down?
No, it should be okay.
Oh, it's
screen,
on.
it should be on.
Maybe I turned it off now.
Is your computer plugged in?
Oh, that's a good point, eh? That's never going to work.
Oh,
Okay, let's try that.
there you go.
Search. Yeah. Okay, so first thing I want to show you about the portal is it's got a button where you can communicate with your teacher anytime. So you message your teacher directly. This is like WhatsApp. I have all the teachers listed here, but you would only get your subjects listed. So for example, I am on a maths lesson, so I've got a question for my maths teacher. I would click on my maths teacher, and then up would come her face. Okay, so it looks like it's that lady, and then I would start a conversation. Yeah, and there we go. I've typed up nonsense. Okay, but you can type up stuff, you can attach images, okay, by using that. All right, so that's the one feature you get: instant chatting to your teacher anytime, 24/7. Then you also get group classes that you can attend. So online learning means live learning, as in you get your teacher live on screen. Okay, so here's a list of all the classes that are open for attending. And the way you reserve a seat at the class is you book your space. So for example, there was a class today at 12. Okay, I'm a bit late to join it, but let's just demonstrate what it was. It was a maths class from 12 till 1 today. And that tells you 3 people attended, and the maximum number was 11. If the class gets full, we create another class. But we do limit the size of the classes, because the idea is that every student needs to have a chance to get their questions answered. So this is live, as in Skype lesson. It's a South African teacher, Cambridge trained, in front of the camera. They can see you, you can see the teacher. So it's interactive, live, you can ask any questions. It is not recorded for privacy reasons. So you miss it, you miss out. You don't have to attend, but that's the way you can ask your teacher any questions you may have. So that's the other feature you get with our live teaching portal. And then, let's just go to the material. Okay, what does the online material actually look like? So, again, I've got a drop-down list of all the subjects we offer, but you would have only the subjects that you're registered for. And I just want to show you an example of a lesson. They all follow the same structure, but I want to show you one lesson. Okay, so I'm going to show you the IGCSE maths, and I'll explain right now what that maths is, but let's have a look. So, you'll see first of all that there's week 1, 2, 3 broken down up until week 34, which ends on a mock exam, revision and mock exam. That is the same structure for every subject we cover. Every subject is covered, the full year syllabus, in 34 weeks, 34 teaching weeks. Okay, because if I show you another subject, let's go on to the higher level of maths. So IGCSE is about grade 10 level, Let's go on to matric level maths. You'll see the same structure. Pure maths it's called. And I'll talk about the different kinds of maths just now. Again, have a look at the structure. Week 34, mock exam. So every course ends week 34. Okay, you can see all the topics there. And the beauty of this is you can actually jump around. So there's nothing to say that you have to do it in this order. Let me show you an actual lesson so you get an idea of what am I talking about in an online lesson. Okay, so this is the notes to the lesson, and you will notice that it talks about a chapter in the book, because we work with books. We're not just online, we're offline as well. You have to have a textbook for every course, prescribed by Cambridge. We don't sell the books, you need to get them separately, but they work hand in hand with our online notes. So every course has a textbook and a workbook. Here's the kind of notes we give. Colorful, simple, cleanly laid out. Obviously I'm racing through it. You wouldn't do it at the speed because you can't possibly read at the speed, but I want to show you what happens next. So that's the actual notes to the lesson. Every lesson always begins with notes. Then there's a video. And I like to show the video so you can hear the teacher and realize it's a South African teacher. Because we are a South African company, even though we're doing the British international curriculum.
Let's talk about why we say that the modulus of R must be less than 1 for a GP to have a sum to infinity. First off, let's make sure you understand this. Remember, modulus, we're looking just at the size of R. We're not concerned whether it's positive or whether it's negative. So this means, if we write it out, minus 1 is less than R, which is less than 1. We also have the R doesn't equal 0. So R can be minus 0.9, it can be plus 0.9, it can be anything in between, as long as it is not minus 1, it is not 1, and it is not 0. So, why is that? So it's easier if we actually have a look at it like this. So, let's say that this is our term value. Okay, so here's our 0. We're going to start with R is negative. So, let's say our first term is here. If we then have a negative R, it's going to, second term will be somewhere here. Now, if R was 1, it would be exactly the same distance, and it would keep going up and down, minus 1, so we have the same value. If we had a modulus greater than 1, then this would get even bigger and bigger and bigger. If our modulus is less than 1, then these terms are going to get a little bit smaller in size. Okay? Each time we get a term, it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And you see what starts happening is our terms get tiny, tiny, tiny. They're never going to get to 0, but they're going to get closer and closer to 0. And what happens when you start adding those tiny, tiny?
I'm going to stop there, but just so you can see the length of the video, it's about 2 minutes. Typical length of the video is 4 minutes. They can be longer, but we try to make them nice and short. And remember, you can pause it, rewind, fast forward anytime. So this is like education on PVR. You can pause live TV here. Okay, that's one example of a lesson. So that's a teacher lesson. And then you have another lesson where it's animated, because we also have animators. So this is an alternative way. Personally, I prefer this one, but you tell me.
Infinite geometric series. An infinite number of vampires walk into their local bar, the last drop. The werewolf behind the bar asks the vampires what they want to drink. The first vampire says she wants 1 liter of blood. The second vampire says he wants half a liter of blood. The third vampire says he wants 1/4 of a liter of blood. The fourth vampire says she wants 1/8 of a liter of blood. The fifth vampire says he wants 1/16 of a liter of blood. And so it continues. The werewolf behind the bar sees the pattern of the vampires. He hands the first vampire 2 liters of blood and tells her to sort out the rest of the vampires. The vampires are out of blood. Well, we have the formula S infinity equals A over 1 minus R, where A represents the first term of the series, and R represents the value that is multiplied each time to get the next term. The first vampire asks for 1 liter of blood, meaning that A will equal 1. Each subsequent vampire asks for half of the amount of blood of the previous vampire, meaning that the value of R will be 1/2. Therefore, S infinity equals 1 over 1 minus 1/2, which equals 1 over 1/2, which equals 2. This means that the werewolf gave the vampires exactly the right amount of blood for all the vampires to have.
Okay, so there you have it. So that's the portal. I'm actually going to turn it off now. Is this? Yes, let's press it again. Okay. There is more functionality in it, which I'll address with you if you like. But for now, you can see that's how online learning happens. So there's notes, there's pre-recorded videos, there's live group lessons, which you book a seat at the table. You need to reserve your place. So you reply, and you don't have to arrive. Your seat is taken, but it's not compulsory. It's voluntary. You don't have to stay for the whole hour. Sometimes what happens, you get lucky and you're the only one in that class. Then you get a private lesson, and you probably won't need the full hour. So once all your questions are ended, you're welcome to leave. You're free to leave whenever you want. You can come and go as you please. Those are your live lessons. And then you have assignments that are also voluntary. I want to stress the assignments are just rehearsal for the exam. That's why they're voluntary, because Cambridge does not mark your work. Only thing that counts in the Cambridge educational system is the final exam. So no assignments are required as a pass mark or for writing the exam. However, we do set you assignments throughout the year, and they vary in number. Some courses have as few as 6 assignments. The most we have is the English matric level course. It has 1 assignment every 2nd week. So out of 34 weeks, it has 17 assignments. It's literally 1 every 2 weeks. You don't have to do them all, but the more you practice, the better you'll do in the exam, obviously. And they get marked, that's one thing I didn't show you, via the portal. So what happens is you download the assignment from the portal, you print it, you handwrite it or type it, you scan it, and you email it in a way. You submit it, you upload it through the portal. You can also email it to your teacher, but the easiest way is just to scan and upload. So basically all assignments are downloaded and uploaded via the portal. And this is just for rehearsal. The other thing it tells us is if you're ready for the exam. And that's a huge advantage with Cambridge, because you don't have to write an exam until you're ready with Cambridge. So you'll be able to assess your readiness by the assignments. If you do the assignments, the teachers sitting at the office will know if you should write the exam. And you might be able to write some of your subjects at one exam sitting and others at another exam sitting, because it's flexible timing. That's the other thing with Cambridge. You write off a subject whenever you are ready, and you can mix your levels. So you can be at different levels in different subjects, because you can write them at different times. Grade 10 to grade 12 exams, you have to write them at set venues. There are certain Cambridge schools that you have to write at. Below grade 10, Guiding Hands Tutor Centre is the exam centre. You'll write them here. they'll be sent to us electronically, they'll be marked and sent back, and we will give you the result. But that's from grade 1 to grade 9. Grade 10 up, you can't write it here, you have to go to the external exam center. So,
Sorry, in case we're worried about that, the closest one is just down the road. It's Ashton House. Yes,
there we go. All right. Actually, there are lots all over. In fact, they're in 160 countries. So you can write exams anywhere. That's the beauty that should you move, should you relocate within South Africa, to Cape Town, to Durban, or just go travel to another country, you can take the school with you because it goes on your device. Everything is on the cloud. You can't lose your books other than your textbooks. You can lose those physical books, although even the textbooks you can get electronically. You can get an e-book. But your learning material and your teacher travels with you in your pocket, on your cell phone. Okay, so you can access your learning anytime, anywhere, anyhow. It travels with you. That's the beauty of online education. Why we need guiding hands is we need you to have someone to help you day to day, because you're only going to interact with your teacher via chat or on a weekly lesson. And we know that UNISA for kids, because this is effectively what we're talking about, distance learning for kids is very difficult. I mean, it's difficult enough for adults, right? So many people never finish the UNISA qualification because it is so hard to learn from a distance without the classroom interaction. So that's why we partner with centers like Guiding Hands. We rely on their expertise, their care, to get you through the course. So we strongly recommend you come into a classroom environment and be guided and be supported. That's it in terms of what CambriLearn is. But now the Cambridge education system, you might have a lot of questions, so I'm going to open up to the floor. What would you like to know about
Just in
Cambridge?
terms of university now,
Yes.
you know, would it still work the same way like our normal schooling system, you know, as in the points and writing those specific exams and
Yeah.
stuff?
Thank you. It is fully recognized in South Africa, fully accredited, because remember, we're not the accredited school, even though we're doing all the teaching. Cambridge University in England is the accreditation body, and it's fully recognized all over the world. 160 countries recognize it, as does South Africa. So yes, you can go to any university in South Africa with a Cambridge qualification.
They do have to have Afrikaans though.
Okay, so yes, South Africa has a special rule that to go to university you have to do 2 languages. Okay, actually it's any 2, they say. English, however, is required. So the second language, funnily enough, does not have to be Afrikaans. It can be any other second language. We offer Afrikaans because Cambridge do test Afrikaans, and we also offer French. But you could technically do any other language. Portuguese, Mandarin, German, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's a little bit of a strange loophole in the Cambridge system, because you still have to meet the requirement of 2 languages, but the second does not have to be a South African language. But you have to have 2 languages, yes you do. The other advantage of going to university with a Cambridge qualification is you do not have to have maths to matric level. That's right.
Okay.
I would guess, because you have to have it at grade 10 level, you do have to at least have done it at grade 10 level, and that would suggest to me that Umalusi, the matriculation board, regards the grade 10 Cambridge level as good enough.
Yeah.
So you have to have it up to grade 10, but you don't have to take it to matric level. Maths Lit, as is offered in CAPS, does not exist in Cambridge, but there is something quite similar called Maths Core. So there are 2 levels at grade 10 of Maths in Cambridge, Maths Core and Maths Extended. And Maths Core is the closest to Maths Literacy. It's intended for children who are never going to be excellent mathematicians. They don't want to get A's necessarily, they just want to master the basics of maths. So that's Maths Core. Maths Extended is for those who wish to extend their maths up to matric level. And you can do the maths and then write the core exam. And that is good enough for university entrance.
And with regards to the number of subjects that you're allowed
Thank
to
you.
do,
Yes. It's almost like I planted you in the audience. But I didn't, I promise. I'll pay you later. Okay, this is the other great news about Cambridge. Only 5 subjects are required for matric.
only 5.
5, when it gets better. One of which can be at grade 10 level. For instance, the maths. So a typical Cambridge university entrance qualification, as in you could go to UJ, to Tux, to Wits, to Stellenbosch, UCT, anywhere in South Africa, looks like this. 5 subjects through Cambridge, maths at IGCSE level, which is grade 10, English at matric level, Afrikaans at matric level, and then you've got to do 2 more, which could be physics, or chemistry, or biology, or business, or accounts, or economics, or history. I mean, there's lots. In fact, Cambridge have, you're going to be amazed, 70 subjects that you can do for matric. I know, it's crazy, okay? We only offer like 15 of them, but there's 70 you could do. We offer all the regular ones. Ones we do not offer are any subjects that require practicals, because we cannot do practicals online. So if you think of any subject like computers, travel and tourism, drama, art, music, dance, cannot be done through CambriLearn. Can be done through Cambridge, but then you're on your own. We can't help you. We can't get you books, we can't get you teachers. We can't teach it because we're online. So we do all the normal academic type subjects that you can think of that you do at regular schools, like your maths and science and accounts and biology and history. Okay, so we just don't have the full 70 subjects, but no one does.
So if they do have like computers or something like that, so do they still get the curriculum
Yes,
through you?
you can get it. Not through us. Cambridge
Where do they
publishes
then-
it openly. It's freely available, open source.
Oh.
You can then get the textbook of your choice. And if you want a tutor, and I believe you have specialist tutors coming in, then they must tutor that subject for them. And what will happen is when they register for the exams, they will register for that one as well. Because remember, there's nothing stopping you from registering for an exam, even if it's not being taught by us. You can register direct with your tutor center for any exam. So yes, so you can still take computers through Cambridge. It's called ICT. Of course you can. We're not going to stop you. You can take any subject. You just register for that exam. Because remember, Cambridge is an exam-based system. You register for the exam, you write it, you pass it, you accredit it, you get the certificate. And it's a certificate per subject.
Sorry, what is the pass mark?
Good question. It depends on the level. Okay? The lower the level that you are at school in Cambridge, the higher the pass mark. So the pass mark gets lowered as you go higher because it gets progressively harder. So it starts like this. Grade 7, 8 and 9, the pass mark is 70%. Grade 10 and 11, the pass mark is 60%. Matric, the pass mark is 50%. And post-matric, the pass mark is 40%. Post-matric is called A-level. It is strictly optional. We offer it as well. Only for those who wish to immigrate is it a requirement. For South African universities, you need no post-matric. It helps if you get it. If you want to get into like medicine, engineering, the more competitive degrees, it is best to do A-levels, but it is strictly optional. So at A-levels, it's 40%, because that's how hard A-levels is. A-levels is like first year university level. Matric, 50, grade 10, 60, grade 7, 8 and 9, 70. And primary school does not have a pass mark as such, from grade 1 to grade 6. What it has is progression tests that evaluate your readiness to move on to the next level. But you are never held back. There is no pass or fail as such in the Cambridge system from grade 1 to grade 6. There is no such thing. So we will offer progression tests, and we will also sign off on a portfolio of work every year to satisfy the Department of Education requirements. Because the department says if you're under 16, not only do you need to be registered with them, but you need to have evidence of learning signed off by a qualified person, which means a teacher. So that's what we will do for Cambridge Primary. We will sign off on the work that you do. On the higher grades, we actually do examine you. So now you'll have the exams and you'll have the assessments if you do them. But those are voluntary, but you will have the mock exams and you will have the final exams through us. So throughout all the grades, you will have evidence of learning to prove to the government that you are formally schooling and are being assessed.
Can you explain about the two different exam times in the year?
Thank you, yes. Another advantage of Cambridge, there are 2 exam sessions every year. 2 end-of-year exam sessions every year. Because they do 160 countries, thousands of schools in the year, they have both Northern and Southern Hemisphere exam schedule. So in the Northern Hemisphere, the year end is May, June. In the Southern Hemisphere, the year end is October, November. So every country has end-of-year exams twice a year. You can either write off your subject in May, June, or you can write off your subject in October, November. What that means is, if you're not happy with your mark on the first attempt, you can redo unlimited number of times, but you don't have to wait a whole year to redo. You just rewrite 6 months later. So every 6 months, you can write off a subject.
Would you have to pay for that?
But you pay. That's the catch. It's not free. And Cambridge never returns your money. I had a student who had an accident on the way to, I mean, he wasn't hurt, thank goodness, but, you know, he had an accident, he had to stop, report it. I mean, you know, he was late now, he missed the cutoff, he couldn't make the exam. They didn't return his money. It's use it or lose it. They are merciless. They don't want to hear excuses. You must have had a dire medical emergency before they'll give your money back. So once you've paid, you either use it or you lose the money. But you don't have to write the exam even once you register. You don't write it, you don't fail, you just don't get the mark. There's no mark because you didn't write it. It will never go down as a fail. Only gets marked when you write it. And only your best mark counts. So that's why, as long as you're willing to pay for the exam, you can keep writing until you're satisfied with the result, because only your best result counts. Let me give you an example. I have a student who wrote grade 10 Afrikaans through Cambridge and failed it. She then decided to repeat, but she didn't repeat it at the grade 10 level. She jumped a level, because that's what you can do with Cambridge, and she went straight to matric level Afrikaans. And she passed it by the skin of her teeth. She got 50%, right? 50 is the pass, 49 is a fail. She got 50, she just passed. She passed, doesn't matter. She's now got matric level Afrikaans. She had failed grade 10 Afrikaans, but no one's ever going to ask her for that. She never will show that certificate. She'll only ever show the AS pass, matric level Afrikaans. So all the previous results count for nothing. Only the best one counts.
So on the certificates, it just says that you passed. It doesn't say what your mark was.
It does say your mark. It actually says
Oh.
both your symbol and your...
Okay.
But it will not say how many attempts you made at it. It will have no history. And the easiest thing about Cambridge is to register for an exam, much like to register for CambriLearn, you don't need ID documents, birth certificates, immunization records, previous report, nothing. You need your name, your surname, your contact details. That's it. Simple. Because Cambridge doesn't care about your immigrant status or your nationality or your age. So you can write Cambridge at any age. There are no age limits at all. No age requirements either. So the upside of that is, there's a boy in South Africa who went to TICS, went to University in Pretoria when he was 14, because he finished school at 14. So that's possible. The most typical age to finish Cambridge schooling at is at 16, but it's not impossible to finish at 14. It's also very possible to finish at 99, because if you haven't finished school, you can go back and finish it through Cambridge at any age, and your Cambridge results never expire. So I have students coming from Malawi, Zimbabwe. They're now mature age, so they might be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. They wrote O-levels in their country, which is Cambridge, 30, 40 years ago. They can now complete their O-levels. Those O-levels count, they are valid. Matric, every result you write through Cambridge never expires.
There's no time frame for like levels to be completed.
No,
Nothing.
with one exception. One little exception, again, a mere South African rule, which is not a rule for Cambridge. But South Africans say if you don't complete your matric level subjects in 2 years, you don't get entrance to South African University. That's for university entrance. If you want to just get a matric, there is no time limit. You can do the subjects over as many years as you like. But for university entrance, they make you do it in 2 years. What that means, if you don't finish all your subjects in 2 years, you'll have to rewrite some of them. That's all. It doesn't invalidate all your subjects. It just means that the longest span between all your subjects is allowed to be 24 months. But that's only for university entrance, and it's a mere South African rule.
How is this fees now structured?
Okay, that's a good question. All right, so there are 3 fees. Textbooks I mentioned, and you're free to get them whenever you like. Our suggestion is beg, borrow, or steal. Share them where you can. Centers like this, what's useful is you don't all each need a book. You can get 1 book, and if there's multiple students on the same level, share the book.
But now wouldn't this affect if the curriculum changes though?
They do change the curriculum. Every 3 years, they will change the book, because every 3 years, the curriculum for every subject gets updated. So, yes, sometimes you can't pass the book down because it's changed. For example, this year's Afrikaans exam will change next year. So this is the last year in which you will have those themes examined for the Afrikaans. It will change for the next year. So next year you'll need different books. So they do that. It's a money-making ploy if you ask me, but it's not our due, it's Cambridge. They're the ones who set the books and they're the ones who design the curriculum. We're just following their curriculum. We teach it, but we don't make the curriculum up. So I'm sorry, the textbook is a factor. So that's why we say share them, copy them, get them secondhand, get them electronically. Do what it takes to save money on the books because it is an expense. How much of an expense? Roughly 2,000 Rand a year in terms of books. If you get them all brand new across the maximum number of subjects that you can possibly take, it will cost you up to 2,000 Rand in books. It is a factor, okay? Exam fees, they range from 900 Rand per subject to 1,800 Rand per subject. Why they range is because you must shop around. Different exam centers charge different fees because they can charge whatever they like. Part of it goes to Cambridge, that's a flat fee. But the other part goes to their pocket and they make profit out of it. So they can charge whatever they want for an exam. We advise you shop around to get the best deal possible. So it varies, 900 to 1,800. Our fees, what are our fees? Okay, so our fees will depend on the level of subject you're doing. And we charge per subject because Cambridge works like that. It is per subject. Because you can do just 1 subject through Cambridge or you can do 6 through Cambridge. So we can't charge for a grade in Cambridge, we charge per subject. And then it depends what level you're doing it at. So it starts at grade 7, 8 and 9, 4,000 Rand for the year for a subject. I'll tell you how many you have to do now. Grade 10, 5,000 Rand for the year per subject. And then matric, 5,500 Rand for the year per subject. That's our tuition. Okay, that covers everything that you saw there. All the online material, the live classes, the live chat, the marking of assignments. Okay, now, you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, but there's 9 subjects in CAPS, right? Grade 7, 8 and 9, there's 9 subjects. Here's the good news. Even though we charge 4,000 Rand for each subject at that level, you only have to do, listen carefully, 3 subjects at Cambridge level in those years. Not 9, 3. The only 3 mandatory subjects at Cambridge from grade 7 to 9, in fact from grade 1 to 9, the only 3 mandatory subjects are called the core, Cambridge core, English, Maths, Science. So 4,000 Rand a year, 3 subjects, means for 12, 13,000 you're covered for the year, all the subjects you have to do. Yes?
So that doesn't include like a second language?
Cambridge does not require a second language till you get to grade 10. We do offer it. We actually do offer Afrikaans from grade 7, and we do offer French at grade 10, but it's optional.
So before grade 7 there's no Afrikaans?
No, because Cambridge does not believe in a second language until later. How many subjects do you have to do for grade 10? Okay, so grade 10, 11, 12 in South African schools, you have to do 7 subjects, one of which is LO. Cambridge does not have LO. It's got something similar called Global Perspectives, but it is optional. You do not need it for matric in South Africa. And Cambridge, as I said to you, only requires 5 subjects for matric. Instead of 7, 5. The fact that you can rewrite the subjects as many times as you want, the fact that you can write them every 6 months, means that there is a lot less pressure for exam performance. So it's ideal for kids who struggle with exams. And you do get them. You get those kids really strong academically, but you struggle with performance and exam conditions. Sorry. No problem. Okay, so that's how Cambridge works. 3 subjects up to grade 9, 5 subjects from grade 10 to 12.
Then do you have like bursaries of any kind?
We don't have bursaries, but there are bursaries available. We have a partner called IE Abroad, you can get the details from me afterwards, that places you for free, really, there's no catch, places you for free at universities overseas. They make their money from the universities. Universities pay them for finding you a position. So they find your university. If you accept the university's offer, if you qualify to go study in Canada, the USA, Australia, New Zealand, UK, wherever, if you accept the offer, the company makes the money from the university. The university pays the company. But that's to go study after school. To study at school, there are no bursaries.
We all will have to get second jobs now to pay for this.
You did say to us the other day that there's another option that you guys have where it's just the curriculum content that you provide.
Correct. So I've given you the worst case scenario. So that's premium. That's what you get for everything I demonstrated for you. Now, you're not going to believe this. There's another option called standard. Standard is 100 Rand per month, per student, per subject. Any subject, any level. There's a catch. Here's the catch. You just get the online. So you get the notes and you get the videos as you saw. You will be able to download the assignments, but you will not get them marked. You will not have answers to any of the exercises unless they are in the back of your textbook. Then you must mark it yourself, or your teachers must mark it. This is why you need guiding hands, because they will then be your marking. They will be your check. They will give you the feedback. If you go for the 100 Rand a month option, please make sure there's a teacher who can then check your work, mark your work, and keep you on track and tell you when you're ready to write the exam. Because if you go for the 100 Rand a month option, we cannot tell you if you're ready to write the exam because we're not teaching you. You are not a student of ours, you're merely using our materials. But you are most welcome to do it. Where the center has the skills, go for it. If you have a teacher, you're already paying that teacher's fees, use that teacher to teach you the subject. Great. Where you don't have a teacher, so I'll give you an example. Say we don't. Mandarin, and you don't have anyone to teach you Mandarin, but you really want to learn Mandarin, then you can take the premium, the 4,000 or 5,000 Rand a year for that subject. So that's what can make it more affordable, whereby if you're paying a tutor, then you don't need to go premium for all the subjects. You might find you don't have a French teacher in the center and you really want to do French, so you take just French premium, and the rest you take 100 Rand a month. And the 100 Rand a month, guys, is incredibly good because there's no contract. And it's 30 days at a time. Pay as you go, like your cell phone airtime.
Hugo, just repeat this 100 Rand.
Yeah, I know, it sounds so good, right? 100 Rand a month.
I just want to be
per
clear
subject
and
at all levels. So from matric level maths to grade 1 maths. It's 100 Rand a month per student because it's a single login per time. 30 days at a time. So you buy the access via credit card online, or I can bill you. If you don't trust credit cards, don't want to use a credit card or a debit card, you can also use a debit card, then I can bill you. 30 days starts when you pay and ends after 30 days. Then you can take a break. So you don't even have to buy every month. So 30 days at a time does not mean that you have to pay 12 months of the year. You might only pay 8 months of the year. If you think that our courses are 34 weeks long, it means you can do the whole syllabus for a year in 34 weeks, which is 8 months. So you might only need 8 30-day periods of access. But that's entirely up to you. When you go on holiday, you don't buy. You buy when you need.
Okay, just like you were looking at that maths thing and you showed us that 32
You'll see all of
weeks.
that. Well, yes.
So if I pay my 100 rand for this month from the 1st of May,
You have access
till
to the
30th of
whole
May,
thing.
So whole 32 weeks will come up. Is that what you said?
Correct. The whole.
So then
and
I
you could
need
technically do all of that in a month.
So I
Correct.
need to download everything very quickly.
Okay. It's not downloadable other than the assignments. You can print all the assignments, but the actual videos you can't download and the notes you can't download. You need to actually be online, live, to actually to read it. But you're right, if you wanted to theoretically do the whole course, the whole year in 30 days, nothing's stopping you, because for 30 days, unlimited access to that subject.
Because all the content is...
All the content's all available. All the pre-recorded content, I want to just stress. So all the pre-recorded videos, the videos you watched, all that, all the notes, all the assignments, all the mock exams will all be available.
So exactly what you
Exactly
showed,
what I showed you, no catch. I promise you there is no catch.
the only thing you can't download, right?
Just can't download. And that's obviously because otherwise if you could download, then you pay 100 rand and never again. So then there's the copyright issue.
And students writing exams, they would still go right there.
Okay, thank you. If you're on the 100 rand a month option, grade 10 to 12, you write the exams like everybody else. There's no difference. You still pay extra for the exams. You can still register for them. You still need the textbooks on the 100 rand a month option. Now, you can never get away from the textbooks. Those courses, I want to stress, cannot be done without a textbook. Cannot. Okay. But what about the lower grades, right? Grade 1 to 9. We said Guiding Hands will be our test center. But who sets the exam? If you want an exam at that stage and you're 100 rand a month, remember you're not a student of ours, so then your exam is not included in the 100 rand a month. It is included in the tuition fee for premium. If you subscribe to premium, the 4,000, 5,000 for the year, the exam comes with it. But if you're 100 rand a month and you grade 1 to 9, you don't get an exam unless you pay extra for it. Then we can give you an exam, and it's 900 rand per exam that you want to write with us. How do you write it? You write it here, we email it to Guiding Hands, they administer it, you write it or type it, scan it and email it back to us or upload it to us.
So the same system will apply also from grade 10 to 12 then?
Grade 10 to 12, you have to write the exams elsewhere.
Yeah,
Just like the premium.
I mean, you will still have to pay that between those amounts, whatever you've given. Okay.
So you can still get an exam. You're not shut out of the exam from grade 1 to 9 if you're 100 rand a month. It's just that the exam comes at an extra fee.
Report cards. You're showing
With the report. Thank you, Vicky. Sorry, so I should say, so you get the exam and the report. So if you want us to report on your result, then you need to pay the 900 rand for the exam, because we not only mark it, we then certify the result. You get a certificate that says, congratulations, you got 80% for progression test 6 for English, for example. Okay, so you get that as well. You don't have to get that, because remember, Cambridge does not require it. You can do grade 10 Cambridge, never having done Cambridge before. I know it's a strange concept, but there are no requirements for any course in Cambridge. You never have to have done something before to do it. So you don't have to have a report from a Cambridge school in order to do a grade 10, 11, 12 exam at a test centre. Not at all. No test centre is ever going to say, but show me your grade 9. No way. So you don't have to do the exam, but if you wish to get some kind of certified result, we offer it. 900 rand extra per subject.
Can you also just explain the levels?
Okay,
the checkpoints and
okay, it's an alphabet soup. There's so many different terms, okay, which is new to South Africans. So grade 1 to 6 is called primary school, that's nice and easy. Sometimes it's called year 1 to 6, but it's basically grade 1 to 6. The difference being that you can start Cambridge grade 1 at age 5, not age 6. That's why they get through school sooner, because they start earlier. You can start at any age. You can start grade 1 at 7, or at 8, or at 6, but the minimum age recommended is 5. Again, you could start it at 4 or 3, but recommended is 5. Then you get to grade 7 to 9, and that's called the foundation phase. Not like our foundation. Our foundation phase is grade 1 to 3. Their foundation phase is the foundation to high school. That's what they mean when they say foundation. Also called lower secondary, but never mind. That foundation phase, we call it checkpoint 1 and 2, and it spans 3 years, grade 7 to 9. So we do 3 years in 2. Checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2. Grade 7 to 9. Then grade 10 and 11 is called IGCSE. International General Certificate of Secondary Education. IGCSE. Basically it's grade 10 and 11. It's a 1-year course that spans 2 years. So you can start to see here why you get through school so much quicker. Because you start earlier, you start at age 5, you do 3 years in 2, to the foundation of high school, you do grade 10 and 11 in 1, IGCSE, and then you do matric in 1. That's why it's not unusual to get through the Cambridge school system at 16 years of age, because you can accelerate. You don't have to go that speed. You can go at whatever speed you wish. I want to stress that. Although our premium pricing, what I mentioned to you, 4,000, 5,000, 5,500 for the year, is a year. A year being 12 months. Any 12 months. It's from when you start. The 12 months can start today, or it can start in August or September or October or November. It starts whenever you start. We take kids all year round. You start anytime. But you don't have to finish in 12 months. You can finish in 6. You can also write it quicker, but you can also take your time. You can take 18 months, you can take 24 months, and you can take different lengths of time for different subjects. If you're strong at maths, you can write maths earlier. If you're strong at a language, you can write the language earlier, and then you move higher in that subject. So your subjects can be at varying levels in your school career.
So in one go you can be in grade 10, but you could be doing grade 11 something.
Can I give you an example? I'm doing a pilot at Baklu Montessori right now, and they're only a primary school at this stage. They're about to become a high school, and they want to do Cambridge for high schools, CambriLearn. They have a grade 7 kid who has been tested to be ready to do grade 10 Cambridge maths. So she's doing grade 10 Cambridge maths. She's grade 7, she's 12 years old. She's doing grade 10. But not the English. So she might finish matric maths at 15, 14, but she might still be doing grade 10 math, English, at 16. That's fine. Very flexible.
Can you tell us about the accommodations?
Okay. Exam concessions. So if you have different needs, so you're dyslexic, you struggle with handwriting, dysgraphic, you struggle with exam anxiety, I'm talking about mild, moderate, severe, you struggle with processing speed, so anytime you have to write, you're very slow in writing. Verbally you might be very, very fast, but you struggle to handwrite your answers. If you struggle with reading speed, if you struggle with reading comprehension, if you struggle with ADHD, and that reflects in your processing speed or in your comprehension or your reading fluency, whatever needs you have, you can get exam concessions for. And the concessions look like this. They will grant you extra time, they'll grant you a scribe, someone you can dictate to, they will grant you a reader, someone who can read for you, they'll grant you an amanuensis, a full reader and scribe combo. They'll grant you an isolated setting, where you can sit apart from other kids so you don't get anxious. They'll grant you rest breaks. They'll grant you prompts. All this is available. You have to have testing done by Vicky, and then you submit it all online, and I can help you with that. And then it all gets approved, and then you take those concessions to the test center. Remember, up until grade 9, Vicky is the test center. In which case, with her testing, she can grant whatever concessions she deems fit. So simple, up until grade 9, internal exam session, internal concessions granted. You can type the exam, you can get extra time, as recommended by Vicky. When you get to grade 10, because you're going to that external exam center, now you have to apply for the concessions through the exam center. But you do all of it online. Very easy, very simple. They have very hard and fast rules about what scores you need to get to qualify for exam concessions. It's simple, easy, I've done it. No problem. And then I'll come to you.
Okay. I understand that the child can do different levels at different times. But my concern now is the cognitive development of the child. Doesn't that interfere with the development of the child when we do it like juggling like that? I'm not sure what is the effect.
I suppose psychologists should answer that, but my understanding of the research is that different parts of the brain develop differently. So it's quite possible to have certain parts develop quicker than others. And your brain's developing throughout your life anyway. I mean, the brain plasticity is now, ongoing. It's no longer fixed. But you want to answer that,
Yeah,
maybe?
what would happen is, if we do, for example, an IQ test or cognitive assessment, you would then pick up from there which areas are strong or weak in language or maths or whatever, spatial visualization and so on. So yeah, you could be guided then even from an IQ test in terms of at what level your child should be, for example, with the language, looking at their language, for example, their concept formation with language, or their spatial visualization skills, or their non-verbal skills and so on. So yeah, it's very possible. I mean, you hardly ever get an IQ score where the child gets the same score across the board, which would give an idea of the child's differential abilities as well.
We all have that, huh? We all have different abilities.
Yeah, we're
and
good at some
strengths
things,
and
we're not so good at some things.
I think my question, to be precise, it's only looking at, there are certain things that the child needs to develop outside the academic part of it. You understand? So they also need to develop socially. So now I'm asking myself, okay, if the child can do a subject or finish 12-year work in 6 months, does that mean the child get a break somewhere? How is it structured? Because then it means they have to sit and be working all the time. I'm just picturing, I'm visualizing that.
Yeah, you need to, see what's going to work with the child best, because you need to have a holistic development. When children join our tutor centre, one of the things we send the parents is making sure your child is involved culturally in sports activities, socially with other children. Because this is a very different environment. It's not a school where you've got sports activities and cultural and public speaking and all that sort of thing. So we do encourage our parents, please make sure your child does have other opportunities for socialization. And then you would work very much with the pace of the child. Because you can get some children who can focus. We've got a matric girl now with us who is incredibly focused, and that's just her personality. She can sit down and get to it and do it. And we've got other children who have got other needs, for example, medical needs, or there's travelling going on with the family. So you do need to bear that in mind and look at the whole thing holistically and see, okay, well, this is the pace my child's working at. Don't push them beyond what they can do, because then you are going to end up with problems. So you want to work with the pace of the child, and that's the nice thing with the CambriLearn and with the Cambridge is that, if your child's not ready to sit for that exam, after, let's say for example, it's a subject like maths, most kids battle with maths. If they're not ready to sit for that exam subject after a year of maths, why do you want to put your child through that? If you've got this flexibility and he can sit his other subjects, fantastic. Hold that maths off until he is ready, because,
See, and the flexibility doesn't hold their child up for a year. She can move forward in the subject she's able to move forward in. And so no subject ever holds a child back.
Yeah. It's not like the CAPS curriculum. If you fail maths or you fail Afrikaans or English,
then you have to repeat the whole year.
You have to repeat
it's all of it, everything,
Geography,
even the ones you pass. You
everything.
see, whereas Cambridge is by subject. So if you pass a subject, you write that subject off. You move on to the next level of that subject. It doesn't hold you back. So if you fail maths, it doesn't hold you back in English. Because it shouldn't, if you think about it. They're different skills. Like, why should you have to repeat English and history and biology and geography because you failed maths? I mean, it doesn't make sense. That's why Cambridge does it by subject, not by grade. There's no such thing as a grade in Cambridge. Oh, sorry, I promised this lady, I'll come to you.
Okay, I just want to know, maybe some of us still feel we want to do the whole 12 months and put the kids as, we want them to work towards something, not become slack and say, oh, I've still got another 2 years, or I have time on my hands. We actually want them to work towards that goal. At the end of the year, they know they're prepared, they need to pass. With the pay-as-you-go, now getting back to that, can we pay for the year? Say, for example, the kids doing 6 subjects, we pay the 600 times whatever number of months up front. Would you have to do it per month?
You can pay it up front.
You can pay it up front. Are there any sort of incentives for the child, when they're studying this way,
Yes,
so they can?
There are. So there's badges. They get awarded badges on the progress as they progress through. And by the way, parents, I didn't mention this, but parents and tutor centres have tracking mechanisms. So you all get a login. So every student, there are 3 logins. The student themselves, the user, The parent has a parent dashboard on a separate login, and the tutor center has a student tracker on a separate login. So the tutor center can track all their kids, the parents can keep track of their kids. And when I say keep track, I mean they can monitor assignments, marks, lesson progress, lessons attended, live lessons, conversations with their teachers, all of it. All the logs of conversations available. Everything is viewable and trackable so that you have some kind of control and reporting. So there will be that available as well.
I think this is making
Yes, sorry, back to you.
Can this be used, because you mentioned it's an alternative to CAPS.
Yes.
Can it be used as sort of a supplement?
Yes.
Or
Yes, absolutely, thank you. That's a strange concept to South Africans, the idea of dual certification. It's very common in the rest of the world. So there's nothing stopping you from doing CAPS and Cambridge. Cambridge goes with any educational system. That's why all over the world you'll find Cambridge in American schools, you'll find Cambridge in world schools doing IB and IGCSE, so they'll do International Baccalaureate and they'll do Cambridge. Cambridge goes with anything, because Cambridge doesn't have to replace another qualification. It can stand aside it, and it can be used to upgrade that qualification. Quite right. So you could do a CAPS matric. I have many students doing that, where they finish school, but now they wish to enhance their matric. Instead of going back to a South African school, they're doing Cambridge because they can do it part-time while they're working or studying something else. So it is a way to enhance your matric or to add to your matric. I'll give you an example. You might have done 7 subjects for matric, but you want to do an 8th one through Cambridge. You can.
how different are the systems?
Very. I can't begin to describe how different. Let me give you one example, but it's very different. Not just in the structure of the subjects and in the syllabus, but also in the way they examine. And that's really what makes it so different. Cambridge teaches you skills for life. So it teaches you thinking skills, it teaches you analytical skills. So the difference between CAPS and Cambridge is that where CAPS asks a lot of rote learning and relies a lot on memorization and relies a lot on factual recall, Cambridge requires very little factual recall. Very seldom does it ask you for theory. It presumes you know the theory and asks you to interpret and analyze and comment and evaluate. So there's a lot more critical thinking skills required in Cambridge, which I would say builds for life and prepares you better for further study. But it does take training. You need to practice that way of answering. So a typical Cambridge question might be 12 points. Only 2 of those marks will ever be theory, will ever be just state facts, like, describe why a lion is an apex predator. They'll give you at most 2 marks for saying the lion is at the top of the food chain, because that's something you could have learned. They don't want any more facts. The rest must be, why is it an apex predator? Why is it a predator? What does apex mean? Why is it at the top? All the analysis. In fact, a common question in Cambridge, to give you an idea, which is very different to CAPS, it often says, look at the passage, find a quote that supports this fact, and now put it in your own words. And CAPS almost never asks you to do that. And Cambridge asks you to do it all the time. Put it into your own words. And show us you understand. We're not interested in the quote because anyone can pick the quote out. Tell me what the quote is. Now, tell me in your own words. So that's an example of a Cambridge question, very different to a CAPS. So yes, the systems are radically different. That's why it does help for exam preparation to have someone who knows the Cambridge exam requirements. You can download papers for free with answers. They're freely available, but you need to know how to mark them. So that's where teachers required, because students can't really mark their own Cambridge papers. They'll generally mark too high, and then they'll think they're ready, and they will fail. And they'll wonder why they failed, because when they were doing past papers, they were acing it. You need a teacher to mark them, even though the answers are freely available. You get plenty of available resources for free, official exam papers and answers available. Plenty. It doesn't mean you know how to mark them, because you have not been trained. Very different. Yes?
Because you said the systems are so different between the CAPS and the and the Cambridge one. For instance, if you're a parent and you still want to go the old school and keep your child with CAPS, but you want Cambridge to assist.
Yes.
For instance, if the child is now in the trick,
Yes.
which level would you score the NQF level regarding?
QF4.
Yeah.
It's in QF4.
Yes, metric for us
Yeah.
is, but with
Cambridge as well, in
is it
QF4.
still NQF4?
Same level.
How about to
No. Ask, it doesn't matter.
so getting back to your question, can you use Cambridge to enhance
Yes.
the CAPS? So if you have like a child in foundation of community CAPS, can you take the meta focus and whatever you do in Cambridge to enhance
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
using Cambridge?
Absolutely. So you can do them simultaneously, side by side. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
At the same time? Yes, you can. The other way to do it is finish your school and then add on Cambridge. I'll give you an example. I have a South African student who's 23 years old, finished matric in 2013, got his national senior certificate, but he did maths lit for matric and he did no science. Now he wants to do maritime electrical engineering at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, and they require pure maths and they require science. He's now going to do Cambridge Physics and Cambridge IGCSE, grade 10 maths. That's all he needs. He doesn't need matric maths, but he needs pure maths. He's going to do grade 10 Cambridge maths and grade 10 Cambridge Physics. And then he'll be able to get in.
That's easy. So now you have a primary school child who's not able to interpret the questions correctly.
Then so
Who
you
can
need-
write.
So now you need a teacher. This is where you're going to need a teacher to teach them the skill.
Okay.
This is why you need guiding hands. This is why it can't be done on their own. In fact, grade 1 to grade 6, what you saw there is grade 7 to grade 12. Grade 1 to grade 6 is different. Vicky and Nikita don't even know this because it hasn't even launched. It's launching 1st August, so 3 weeks time. Those materials are going to be different. They'll still be online, but they're not going to be for the kids. They're going to be for the educator. Yeah, see the difference? Because we don't believe a 5-year-old can study on their own on a screen. So the materials up to grade 6 are not designed with the kid in mind. You can see the others are designed with kids in mind, and you saw the animation, you saw you heard the teacher. That's very much for the learner. For grade 7 up, it's for the learner. For grade 6 to 1, it's for the educator. Whether it be the stay-at-home mom, or Nikita, or Vicky, or Sean, whoever it is, those materials are for the tutor, or the educator, to help the child. In fact, the live sessions are going to be not for the kids, they're going to be for the educators. So we will have Q&As for the teachers to meet with our teachers, or the mothers to meet with our teachers to ask them questions on how best to help their children. So the whole focus is different in primary school. It's made for the adults to teach their kids. It's not made for the kids to teach themselves at all. Very different. You still need textbooks. There will still be assignments, which we will mark. There will still be progression tests at the end of the year. So the others are very similar. But again, the live chat is not going to be for the kid to chat with the teacher. Not appropriate for a 5-year-old to be chatting to a teacher. The educator will chat to the teacher. So the parent must ask, or the educator at the tutor center must ask the teacher the question. Okay, we're not going to take questions from 7-year-olds. Sorry, we're just not. Okay, so primary is going to work slightly differently, but age appropriate. Again, talking about developmentally appropriate, that's developmentally appropriate. We don't think it's appropriate for a 5-year-old to be studying on a screen. That's our opinion. No, it's not appropriate. We don't think it is. In fact, that's why we introduced it so late. We've only just introduced Cambridge Primary because of that, because we tried to work out how we're going to do this in a sound way. We decided actually, because we're not going to do it for the kids, we're going to do it for the educators. Very different. Yeah, very different.
Sorry, earlier on you spoke about Cambridge grade 10 maths and science. I think you can get to varsity with it.
Yes.
If you have that.
Yes.
Is it like a bare minimum?
Yes.
Because now your matric is still the same NQF level
Correct.
as the CAPS. So now I'm just worried with if it's just grade 10 level and the varsity usually asks for NQF level
It's
four.
accepted. Let me tell you, I
It's
know that
still
sounds crazy,
accepted.
yeah. So you can literally get into university, provided obviously your degree is not a mathematical degree. I mean, not for engineering, not for medicine, not for any of the sciences. If it's a scientific or mathematical degree, you're going to require maths at matric level. But say it's arts or it's law, you know, there's many qualifications do not require maths for matric. Then grade 10 Cambridge maths is good enough.
Okay, so it's just for courses that don't require.
Courses that don't require maths. I'm not suggesting you can go do actuarial science in grade 10 Cambridge maths. No. Okay, but if it's not a heavily maths course, you'll have to judge depending on their qualification requirements. They will tell you what's required. Okay, but yes, otherwise grade 10 maths is good enough. Good question. Jeez, you see, this is why I love opening into the floor, because all the questions are asked. Guys, anything else? Yes.
I noticed that your animation video is the same as the Top Dog.
Correct, same company. Oh, got a smart one, yeah.
It's the same company.
Same company. So, in fact, for grade 1 and 6, we're going to use a lot of the similar materials. Although, having said that, Top Dog only begins at grade 4. So, in fact, the grade 1, 2, 3 are all entirely original. They've never been seen before. But you're quite right. It's the same company. So, a lot of the videos, you know, maths is maths. So, we will use a lot of the pre-recorded stuff will also be available on Top Dog. But the syllabus is different, so some of the stuff will only be available on CambriLearn. Some of it's unique to CambriLearn, some of it's available on both portals. Top Dog is a South African portal. I can quickly talk about it. It's the CAPS material. It's 100 Rand, listen to this now, a month for the whole grade. All subjects in a grade. So you can do all of matric for 100 Rand a month, month to month. That's Top Dog. That's even more incredible. The difference though is Top Dog does not have a premium option. So you can't get a teacher with it, ever. Top Dog is only ever 100 Rand a month. That's the only option there is. But the difference there is not by subject, because again, CAPS is not a subject-based course, it's a grade-based course. So that's why on Top Dog, it's 100 Rand per month, per grade, for a whole grade.
And it does include IB and GD.
It does include
IB and GD.
Yes, IB and GD. It's CAPS is it's the same syllabus whether you go to a private school or government school. Quite right. So that's the South African portal. So we have that, and now we have CambriLearn. Okay.
So this Top Dog, is it based on the Cambridge curriculum?
Top Dog is CAPS.
CAPS.
It's the South African curriculum. Entirely the South African curriculum. Yeah, I think that's all.
Nikita just wanted to